Yo, MotoGP fans, what's good? Ready for some explosive news? Marc Marquez, the legend himself, is seriously pissed off. He just went off about the latest MotoGP 2025 update, the stability control in the ECU that he says makes racing less exciting. Marquez claims this update is sidelining riders' skills. So what's got Marquez so fired up? And why is he calling this update pointless? Let's dive in and unpack it all in this video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the latest MotoGP updates. Alright, before we get into the Marquez drama, let's break down what this stability control is all about. For those who don't know, this is a brand new electronic feature added to the integrated ECU software in MotoGP bikes. We're all familiar with traction control, which keeps the rear wheel from spinning out. Well, stability control takes things to a whole new level. Picture this. MotoGP bikes don't just scream forward, they often slide sideways, especially when leaning hard into corners at crazy angles. Stability control measures how much the bike is sliding sideways compared to its forward momentum. If the slide's too wild, the system automatically cuts engine torque to keep things stable. Sounds cool, right? But hold up. Why is Marquez hating on it? According to MotoGP, this feature is all about safety. They say stability control can prevent high-side crashes, those scary moments when a bike loses grip in a corner, especially when the rider's on the gas. Imagine a bike leaning hard, sliding sideways without the rear wheel spinning excessively. Regular traction control can't handle that. So stability control steps in as a smart fix to make racing safer. The feature's been tested by all manufacturers and got the green light to roll out this weekend. But why is Marquez, the current Ducati championship leader, so upset? Let's get to the heart of it. Why is Marc Marquez mad? Marquez, known for his fearless and instinctive riding style, has some sharp thoughts on this update. He believes the more electronics you pile onto a bike, the less room there is for riders to show their true skill. For me, the more things you add to the bike, in this case electronics, the less difference a rider can make, Marquez said. He feels like stability control makes bikes too smart. Riders can just lean on the system, and the bike does all the work. You can fight by relying on the controls, and the bike does everything. So as a rider, I don't like it, he added. Marquez said he tested this new feature in Aragon and Malaysia. And, yeah, it made the bike easier to ride, but that's exactly the problem. For Marquez, MotoGP is all about courage, instinct, and a rider's ability to tackle the track's challenges. If the bike's handling everything, what separates a top-tier rider like him from the rest? He thinks this feature makes races less competitive because individual rider skill isn't the main factor anymore, whether it's about safety or not. In the end, every manufacturer has a different perspective, Marquez said, clearly skeptical about whether this really improves safety. Beyond stability control, Marquez also griped about other tech advancements in MotoGP, like ride height devices and aerodynamics. He says these are making races less thrilling, especially at iconic tracks like the Red Bull Ring. Back in the day, Marquez was famous for his brutal braking battles against Ducati riders at this track. Remember those epic duels with Andrea Dovizioso? They had us all holding our breath. But now, Marquez says tech like ride height devices and aerodynamics makes those kinds of battles nearly impossible. You can't brake at the same point. You can't turn at the same point, he complained. Why? Because advanced aerodynamics give the leading bike a huge edge. If you're trailing, the turbulent air from the bike in front messes with your control. Add ride height devices that make bikes more stable, and overtaking becomes tougher. Back then, we saw some great battles because there were no rear devices and aerodynamic effects were much smaller, Marquez said. He feels like this tech is making races more predictable, lacking the drama we used to love. But this is Marquez we're talking about. He's not just here to complain. He's laser-focused on winning at the Red Bull Ring, a track where he's never won despite his 8 world championships. Riding a red-hot Ducati, and on a 10-race winning streak this season, he's itching to break his Red Bull Ring curse. But with stability control and other tech in play. Can Marquez pull off a miracle on this track? Let's take a step back and think, is stability control really bad for MotoGP? On one hand, MotoGP's safety argument makes sense. High sides are terrifying. They can cause serious injuries or worse. Data from past seasons shows high sides often happen in fast corners when riders push their bikes to the limit. Stability control could reduce that risk, letting riders race with more peace of mind. But on the other hand, Marquez has a point. MotoGP is about skill, instinct and bravery. If bikes get too smart, does it turn into a tech competition instead of a rider's showdown? For Marquez, who's used to pushing limits, even on a notoriously tricky Honda, stability control feels like it's stripping away the essence of racing. He's pulled off jaw-dropping saves, leaning at angles that make us shake our heads in disbelief. That's all thanks to his skill and gut instinct. If bikes start handling stability on their own, will Marquez's epic moments become a thing of the past? It's a big question. Should MotoGP prioritise safety or excitement? And it's not just Marquez. Other riders are starting to grumble about tech overload, and some fans agree, saying MotoGP's becoming more about who has the best bike than who's the best rider. Back in the day, we saw legendary duels like Rossi versus Stoner or Marquez versus Lorenzo, where raw talent made the difference. Now, with aerodynamics, ride height devices and stability control, it feels like the bike matters more. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you side with Marquez, or are you all for the new tech? Back to the Red Bull Ring. This track is a fan favourite. It's 4.3 kilometres long, with 10 corners that demand precision. Known for its hard braking zones and rapid acceleration, aerodynamics play a huge role here. But as Marquez pointed out, that same aero makes overtaking tricky. We used to see him chase down rivals with heart-stopping late braking, but now he's got to think twice, because aero turbulence messes with trailing bikes. Ironically, stability control might actually help Marquez. Back on his Honda, he often saved near crashes with insane skill. With stability control, his dominant Ducati could be even steadier, especially at a fast track like Red Bull Ring. But Marquez still hates it. He wants the challenge of a wild bike. "I like the challenge. I like feeling the bike is alive," he said. That's Marquez, always craving the thrill that leaves us speechless. MotoGP says they'll keep monitoring how stability control affects races. If it makes things too dull, they might rethink it. For now, teams have to adapt. Word is, teams like Yamaha and KTM actually support this feature, thinking it could close the gap with Ducati's dominance. A more level playing field might mean tighter races, but will fans trade drama for fairness? Share this video with your racing buddies and let us know in the comments. Is MotoGP's tech going too far, or is it making races better? Catch you in the next video. Full throttle!
Welcome to GP Talks. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates.